There's a kind of fasting most people get completely wrong, and that mistake might be blocking the abundance in your life without you even realizing it. I discovered this through a woman named Kathryn Kuhlman, an ordinary woman living in a modest home, working an everyday job, until the day she learned something that changed everything. Kathryn wasn't rich. She wasn't famous. She didn't have any special knowledge of finance or investments. But she had something most people don't. She knew a secret about fasting that very few people know. And I'm going to share that secret with you today. But first, tell me something. How many times have you fasted hoping for a transformation in your life? Hoping something would change. Hoping opportunities would arise. And how many times did you finish the fast and nothing happened? It's not your fault. There's a huge difference between fasting and fasting the right way. A difference that can determine if your fast will be just a spiritual experience, or if it will become a real tool for manifesting abundance in your life. Kathryn discovered this difference by chance. Or rather, she believes it was God's guidance. Because what happened to her after she changed the way she fasted was extraordinary. In 6 months, her income tripled. In a year, she had achieved home ownership. In 2 years, she was supporting her entire family financially. And it all started with a simple change in how she fasted. But I'm going to tell you something that will shock you even more. Kathryn isn't the only one. There are hundreds of people who have discovered this same secret, and they all have one thing in common. They understood that there's a specific way to fast that activates principles of abundance. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's knowledge. And that knowledge is right in front of us, available to anyone who has the courage to question what everyone else is doing and seek a more effective way. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to have inexplicable success with money? Like everything they touch turns to gold? Like the universe conspires in their favor? I can assure you of one thing. It's not luck. It's because they know principles that most people don't know. And one of those principles is directly connected to how you fast. Let me explain what Kathryn did differently. First, she never fasted just for the sake of fasting. She had a very specific purpose. Laser focus. And this focus wasn't generic like, I want God to bless my life. It was specific. It was measurable. It was tangible. Second, she chose specific dates to fast. These weren't random dates. They were dates that had a deep meaning, a special energy, dates that amplified the power of her fast. Third, and this is the most important, she combined fasting with specific practical actions. She didn't just wait for something to fall from the sky. She created real conditions for abundance to manifest. But there's something even deeper behind all of this. Kathryn understood that fasting isn't just about not eating. It's about creating an altered state of consciousness. A state where you become more receptive to opportunities, more sensitive to signs, more aligned with flows of abundance that already exist around you. Think about it. How many opportunities pass you by every day, and you don't even notice? How many signs does the universe send you, and you're too distracted to pick up on them? Fasting multiplies your perception, but only if you do it the right way. Most people fast and become weak, irritable, and lack energy. They count down the minutes until it's over. They only think about the food they can't eat. Kathryn did the exact opposite. She used fasting to become mentally stronger, more focused, more connected with her purpose. Her fast was a tool of power, not sacrifice. And do you know what her secret was to achieving this? She didn't fast from everything. She did an intelligent fast, a strategic fast, a fast that nourished her mind while purifying her body. There are specific foods you can consume during fasting that don't break the fasting state, but potentiate its effects. Foods that nourish the brain, that increase mental clarity, that amplify your ability to perceive opportunities. And there are also foods that do the opposite. Foods that, even if allowed in traditional fasting, block the channels of perception and intuition. Kathryn knew exactly which ones to choose, but it doesn't stop there. She also had specific prayers she said during the fast. These weren't generic prayers. They were focused decrees, directed affirmations, words that programmed her subconscious mind to recognize and attract opportunities for abundance. And she did this at specific times of the day, times when the energy was most conducive to manifestation, times when words had more power. You might be thinking, this seems too complicated, but it's actually simpler than you think. Kathryn created a system, a method, a sequence of actions that anyone can follow, and the results speak for themselves. In the first month after she changed the way she fasted, she received an unexpected job offer, an opportunity that doubled her income overnight. In the second month, she discovered an investment that no one else had noticed, a small investment that multiplied rapidly. In the third month, a distant relative she hadn't spoken to in years showed up to return borrowed money she had already given up on. Coincidence? In the fourth month, she won the lottery. It wasn't the jackpot, but it was enough for a down payment on a house. In the fifth month, the side business she had started as a hobby became a source of income greater than her job. In the sixth month, she received an unexpected inheritance from an aunt she barely knew. 6 months. 6 impossible synchronicities. Or not so impossible, because Kathryn wasn't just fasting. She was applying universal principles of abundance that have existed for thousands of years. Principles that are documented in spiritual teachings, but that most people don't know how to apply and practice. She transformed fasting into a tool of divine alignment. And you can do the same thing. But before I teach you how, I need to tell you about the biggest mistake everyone makes when they fast. A mistake that not only negates the benefits of fasting, but can even bring negative consequences to your financial life. It's such a common mistake that even very spiritual people make it. Even people who have been fasting for decades make it. And they don't even realize they're undermining their own prosperity. This mistake has to do with timing. The when of your spiritual fasting, and when you break your fast. There's a specific window of time that multiplies the effects of fasting by at least tenfold. And there's another window that can completely negate its power. Most people fast at the wrong time, and that's why they don't see results. Kathryn Kuhlman discovered the right timing through trial and error. She tested different hours, different durations, different ways of breaking her fast, until she found the perfect formula. And when she found it, everything changed. Because it's not just about what you do during the fast, it's about how you end the fast. It's about the first things you eat, the first words you speak, the first actions you take after breaking your fast. These moments are sacred. They are moments of pure manifestation, moments where everything you decree has a much higher probability of coming true. And most people waste these moments thinking nonsense, saying nonsense, doing nonsense. Kathryn Kuhlman learned to use these moments as portals of creation, as direct windows to reprogram her financial reality. And the results always appeared in the weeks following the fast, as if she had planted seeds of abundance that sprouted automatically. But there's an important detail I can't overlook. Kathryn Kuhlman didn't do this alone. She had found a small group of people who knew the same principles. People who fasted with her during the same period with the same intention. And she discovered that the power of fasting multiplies exponentially when done in a group. When there's collective synergy, when several people are focused on the same energy of abundance at the same time, it's as if a morphogenetic field of abundance is created. A collective frequency that amplifies the possibilities of individual manifestation. That's why her results were so impressive. It wasn't just individual fasting. It was fasting connected to a network of people aligned with the same purpose. And there's a way for you to connect with this same network, to participate in this same collective energy, even if you live on the other side of the world. Because energy doesn't have physical boundaries. Collective intention works regardless of geographical distance. But before I tell you how to access this network, I need to teach you the fundamentals of multiplicative fasting, the basics you need to master before moving on to more advanced levels. Because there's a progression, there's a sequence of steps you need to follow. Skipping steps can be counterproductive. It can even bring negative results. It's like learning to drive. You don't start driving on a highway. You start in a parking lot, slowly, mastering the basic controls. Multiplicative fasting is the same thing. There are beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels. Kathryn Kuhlman started at the beginner level, and even then she saw results in the first few weeks. But when she advanced to the higher levels, that's when the financial miracles really started to happen. What she did at the advanced level was so powerful that she never had to worry about money again in her life. She created a permanent flow of abundance that renews itself automatically. And this is not an exaggeration, it's reality. I know her current financial situation, and it's extraordinary. But let me start with the basics, with the level that anyone can start today. The first principle of multiplicative fasting is clarity of intention. You can't fast hoping that something good happens. You need to know exactly what you want. You need to visualize exactly the result you expect. You need to feel emotionally what it will be like when that result manifests. This clarity is not just mental. It needs to be emotional, energetic, visceral. Kathryn Kuhlman spent hours before each fast defining exactly what she wanted. She wrote, she drew, she created physical representations of her goal. She transformed her desire into a tangible reality in her mind. And this is fundamental, because fasting amplifies everything that's in your consciousness. If you're confused about what you want, fasting will amplify that confusion. If you're clear about what you want, fasting will amplify that clarity. It's like a sound amplifier. It doesn't improve the quality of the music. It just increases the volume. If the music is out of tune, it will be even more out of tune. If the music is harmonious, it will be even more harmonious. That's why preparation is as important as the fast itself. The second principle is the choice of permitted foods. And this is where most people make a huge mistake. They think that fasting is not eating anything. Or they think they can eat anything that isn't considered a breaking of the fast, traditionally. But there's a science behind eating during multiplicative fasting. A science that combines nutrition, neuroscience, and spirituality. There are foods that specifically nourish the areas of the brain responsible for intuition, for the perception of opportunities, for financial creativity, and there are foods that block these same areas. Kathryn Kuhlman discovered a specific list of foods that potentiate multiplicative fasting, foods that maintain the fasting state, but nourish the mind for manifestation. And she also discovered a list of foods that, even though they are allowed in traditional fasting, completely negate the multiplicative power. The difference between choosing the right foods and the wrong foods can be the difference between a transformative fast and a useless fast. And it's not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of practical results. Kathryn Kuhlman tested this dozens of times. The results with the right foods were always superior. The third principle is sacred timing. Not every moment is conducive to multiplicative fasting. There are natural cycles, lunar cycles, personal cycles that directly influence the effectiveness of the fast. Fasting at the right time can multiply the results by 10. Fasting at the wrong time can even bring negative consequences. Kathryn Kuhlman learned to read these cycles. She learned to identify moments of higher energetic potency, and she always fasted at those moments. That's why her results were so consistent. It wasn't luck, it was strategy. It was applied knowledge, and she developed a personal fasting calendar, a temporal map that maximized her chances of manifestation. This calendar took into account not only universal cycles, but also her personal cycles, the dates that had special meaning in her life, the moments where her personal energy was highest. Because multiplicative fasting is not a one-size-fits-all recipe. It's a personalized method. You need to adapt it to your specific reality. The fourth principle is complementary practices. Spiritual fasting alone is powerful, but when you combine spiritual fasting with other specific practices, the power multiplies exponentially. Kathryn Kuhlman discovered a sequence of practices that amplified spiritual fasting. Simple practices that anyone can do, but that make all the difference in the results. Some of these practices she did before the fast, others during, others after. Each one had a specific purpose and a specific timing, and she also discovered practices that cancel the effects of spiritual fasting. Seemingly innocent things that most people do without realizing, but that completely negate the multiplying power. Avoiding these practices is as important as doing the correct practices. The fifth principle is the conscious breaking of the fast. The way you end the fast is as important as the way you begin. Perhaps it's even more important, because it is in the moment of breaking the fast that the manifestation consolidates. It's when the energy accumulated during the fast materializes into practical results. And there's a specific way to break the fast that potentiates this materialization. A sequence of actions that channels all the energy of the fast into financial manifestation. Kathryn Kuhlman transformed breaking the fast into a sacred ritual, a moment of conscious creation. And the results always appeared in the following days, because she didn't break the fast thinking about food. She broke the fast thinking about abundance. She used that moment to program her financial reality. And now we come to the most important point of all. All these principles are just the base, the foundation. Multiplicative spiritual fasting has much deeper levels, much more powerful techniques. But you need to master these 5 basic principles before moving on. You need to practice, experiment, see the first results. Only then will you be ready for the more advanced secrets. And these more advanced secrets, they are life-transforming. They are techniques that Kathryn Kuhlman used to create lasting wealth, to never have to worry about money again, to live in a frequency of constant abundance. But let me tell you how she got to these advanced techniques. After 6 months of practicing the basic principles, Kathryn Kuhlman realized that something was still missing. The results were good, but she felt she could go much further. She felt there were deeper layers of multiplicative spiritual fasting that she hadn't yet accessed. That's when she discovered the 6th principle, the principle of energetic resonance. Kathryn Kuhlman realized that it wasn't enough to fast with clear intention. It was necessary to fast at a specific energetic frequency. A frequency that resonates directly with the fields of abundance that exist around us. And how did she discover this frequency? Through numbers. She began to realize that the best results happened when she fasted for specific durations. They weren't random durations. They were durations that followed specific mathematical proportions. Proportions that appear in nature, in music, in sacred architecture. And when she aligned the duration of the fast with these proportions, the results multiplied exponentially. It's not numerology. It's science. It's quantum physics applied to manifestation. Because everything in the universe vibrates at specific frequencies. And when you align your practice with these natural frequencies, you become attuned to much more powerful energy flows. Kathryn Kuhlman created a table of optimized durations. Durations that maximize the energetic resonance of the fast. And she tested each of them multiple times to confirm the effectiveness. The results were unequivocal. Fasts with optimized durations produced results up to 5 times higher than fasts with conventional durations. But that wasn't all. She also discovered that there is a specific sequence of durations that creates a cumulative effect. Each fast potentiates the next. Each result amplifies the following. It's like a ladder of manifestation. Each step takes you to a higher level of abundance. And at the top of that ladder is the 7th principle, the principle of multidimensional anchoring. This is the most advanced principle, the most powerful, and also the most delicate. Kathryn Kuhlman discovered that it's possible to use spiritual fasting to anchor abundance in multiple dimensions of reality simultaneously. Not only in the financial dimension, but also in the emotional, the relational, the spiritual. And when you anchor abundance in all these dimensions at the same time, you create a field of manifestation so powerful that the results begin to appear almost instantaneously. But to apply this principle, you need to completely master all the previous principles. You need to have developed a very high level of energetic awareness. You need to have learned to work with very subtle forces, because multidimensional anchoring touches deep layers of reality. If done without proper preparation, it can create instability in other areas of life. Kathryn Kuhlman spent months preparing before applying this principle for the first time. And when she applied it, the transformation was so intense that she could hardly believe it. In a single week, she received 3 different financial opportunities. Opportunities that arose out of nowhere, as if the entire universe was conspiring in her favor. And they weren't small opportunities. They were opportunities that multiplied her income by 10 in a matter of months. But the most impressive thing wasn't the opportunities themselves. It was the way they appeared. Effortlessly. Without struggle. Without stress. As if it were the most natural thing in the world. That's what happens when you completely align with the natural flows of abundance. Things simply flow to you. And now I'm going to tell you something that will change your perspective on manifestation. Multidimensional anchoring doesn't just work for those who fast. It creates a field of abundance that affects everyone nearby. Kathryn Kuhlman's family began to prosper along with her, without fasting, without applying any technique, simply by being in the energetic field she had created. Her husband got an unexpected promotion. Her children began to excel in school. Close relatives began to experience seemingly effortless success. It's as if she had created a zone of prosperity that automatically expanded to the people she loved. And this raises a very important question. If multiplicative spiritual fasting can create fields of abundance that affect other people, what is the limit of this power? How far is it possible to expand this influence? Kathryn Kuhlman decided to find out. She started applying the 8th principle, the principle of intentional collective manifestation. Instead of fasting solely for herself, she began fasting with the intention of elevating the abundance of larger groups. First her extended family, then her community, then the city. And the results were astounding. Wherever she focused her intention during her spiritual fasting, collective prosperity actually increased. Local businesses began to thrive. People found better jobs. Community projects received unexpected funding. It was as if she had discovered a way to channel abundance on a collective scale through individual fasting. And this opened the doors to the 9th principle, the principle of exponential energetic reciprocity. Kathryn realized that the more she used fasting to benefit others, the more abundance returned to her. But it wasn't a linear reciprocity. It was exponential. Each person who prospered through the energetic field she created became an additional channel of abundance for her. It was as if she were building a manifestation network that grew organically, and this network began to function autonomously. Even when Kathryn wasn't fasting, abundance continued to flow to her through the channels she had created. That's when she reached the state I call perpetual abundance, a state where prosperity becomes a constant in life, regardless of external circumstances. But to reach this level, Kathryn also had to master the 10th principle, the principle of neutralizing ancestral blocks. She discovered that many people have abundance blocks that are not just personal. They are inherited blocks, limiting patterns that have been passed down through generations. And multiplicative fasting, when applied correctly, can neutralize these ancestral blocks. It can cleanse patterns of scarcity that have been rooted for decades or even centuries in the family lineage. Kathryn developed a specific technique to identify these blocks during fasting, and another technique to energetically neutralize them. The results of this ancestral cleansing were transformative not only for her, but for the entire family, as if generations of financial limitation had been dissolved in one fell swoop. And that brings us to the 11th and final principle, the principle of transcending need. This is the highest level of multiplicative fasting, the level where you completely transcend the need to worry about money. It's not just about having enough money. It's about entering a frequency where abundance flows naturally, effortlessly, without worry, without fear of scarcity. Kathryn reached this level after 2 years of consistent practice. And since then, she has never had to worry about financial matters again. Not because she became rich, but because she entered a frequency where abundance is a natural constant. It's like breathing. You don't worry if you'll have enough air for the next breath. You simply breathe. For Kathryn, abundance works the same way. Now, I know all this may seem very advanced, very complex. You may be thinking this isn't for you, but let me tell you a secret. You don't need to master all 11 principles to see extraordinary results. Kathryn saw significant transformations in the first few principles, and there's a way for you to drastically accelerate your progress. A way to access advanced levels much more quickly than Kathryn did, because you have an advantage she didn't have in the beginning. You have the complete map. You know where you want to go. You know the entire path. Kathryn discovered everything through trial and error. It took years to develop the complete system. But you can apply the knowledge she took years to discover. And more importantly, you can connect with the energetic network she created. You can benefit from the field of abundance that already exists. Because once an energetic field is created, it remains active. And other people can connect with that field and amplify their own results. It's like a radio station. Once the frequency is being transmitted, anyone can tune into it. The frequency of abundance that Kathryn created is still active, and you can learn to tune into it. But before I teach you how to do this tuning, I need to tell you about the signs that indicate that multiplicative fasting is working. Because there are specific indicators that appear when you're on the right track. Signs that confirm that your practice is producing real results. The first sign is a change in the quality of your dreams. When multiplicative fasting is working, you begin to have more vivid dreams, more symbolic, more meaningful. Kathryn noticed that during her most powerful fasting periods, she dreamed of symbols of abundance. She dreamed of situations that later materialized in real life, as if the dreams were a preview of the results to come. The second sign is the increase in synchronicity. Coincidences start to happen more frequently. You meet the right people at the right time. You receive important information at the exact moment you need it. It's as if the universe begins to conspire more actively in your favor. The third sign is a change in the perception of opportunities. You begin to notice possibilities that previously went unnoticed. You begin to see potential where before you saw nothing. Your mind becomes sharper at identifying opportunities for financial multiplication. The fourth sign is the change in relationship patterns. More prosperous people begin to appear in your life. Conversations about money and abundance become more frequent and productive. It's as if you begin to vibrate at a frequency that attracts people aligned with prosperity. The fifth sign is the improvement in financial intuition. You begin to have more accurate insights into investments, businesses, income opportunities. Your ability to make sound financial decisions increases significantly. And the sixth and most important sign is the decrease in anxiety about money. Even if your financial situation hasn't changed dramatically yet, you feel a greater inner peace about your financial future. It's as if you know, on a deep level, that everything will be all right. Kathryn always said that this was the most reliable sign. When worry about money decreased, it was a sign that practical results were on their way. And she was right. Whenever she felt that inner peace, within weeks something would happen to improve her financial situation. Now, if you're recognizing some of these signs in your own life, it's possible you're already intuitively applying some principles of multiplying fasting, even without knowing it. But if you want to accelerate the process and see more consistent results, you need to apply the complete system consciously. And to do that, you need to start with an honest assessment of your current situation. Where are you financially right now? Where would you like to be in 6 months? In a year? In 5 years? Be specific, be realistic, but ambitious. Multiplying fasting works best when you have clear and measurable goals. After defining your goals, you need to identify the main blocks preventing you from achieving them. Are they practical blocks? Lack of knowledge? Lack of opportunities? Lack of seed capital? Or are they internal blocks, limiting beliefs, fears, self-sabotaging patterns? In most cases, it's the internal blocks that generate external blocks. And multiplying fasting works primarily on dissolving these internal blocks. That's why the results are so profound and lasting. Once you identify your blocks, you can use specific fasting techniques to neutralize them. Each type of block responds better to a specific type of fast. Fear blocks respond better to short-duration fasts, but with high emotional intensity. Self-esteem blocks respond better to medium-duration fasts with a focus on self-affirmation. Ancestral blocks respond better to longer fasts with energy-cleansing techniques. It's a science. It's a method. It's not trial and error. And once you dissolve the main blocks, you can move on to active manifestation techniques. The techniques that really generate tangible results in your financial life. But there's a specific sequence you should follow. A progression that maximizes your chances of success and minimizes the risk of side effects. Because yes, multiplying fasting can have side effects if applied incorrectly. It can generate emotional instability. It can create unrealistic expectations. It can even attract negative financial situations if you don't know what you're doing. That's why it's so important to follow the correct method, the correct sequence, the correct timing. And that's also why it's important to have guidance. To have someone who has already walked this path and can guide you through the most delicate points. Kathryn Kuhlman always said she wished she'd had a mentor when she started. Someone who could have shortened her path. Someone who could have avoided the mistakes she made. Because yes, she made mistakes. She had moments of frustration. She had periods where it seemed like nothing was working. She even had some negative results when she applied advanced techniques before she was truly ready. But she persevered, she adjusted, she learned, and that's how she got where she got. And now you have the opportunity to benefit from everything she learned, to avoid the mistakes she made, to accelerate the process that took her years to master. Because the knowledge already exists. The methodology has already been tested. The results have already been proven. You just need to apply it. And to help you with this application, I'm going to give you 3 practical exercises that you can start today. The first exercise is the crystal clear definition of the goal. Think about the specific financial result you want to achieve in the next 3 months. Be precise. If you want to increase your income, how much exactly? If you want to pay off debts, what exact amount? If you want to save money, for what specific purpose? Write this goal in a clear and positive sentence, and read this sentence every day, morning and night, for a whole week. This will program your subconscious mind to recognize opportunities related to this goal. The second exercise is the identification of the main block. Think honestly. What is the biggest obstacle preventing you from achieving your financial goal? Be brutal in your honesty. Don't blame external circumstances. Look inward. Is it fear of taking risks? Is it lack of self-confidence? Is it a procrastination pattern? Is it a belief that you don't deserve abundance? Identify this block and give it a name. Recognizing the enemy is the first step to defeating it. The third exercise is the preparatory fast. Do a simple 24-hour fast with a total focus on your financial goal. During this fast, constantly visualize the result you want. Feel emotionally what it will be like when this result manifests. And when you break the fast, do it with anticipatory gratitude, as if the result has already happened. as if you were celebrating a victory. These 3 exercises will give you a sample of the power of multiplying fasting. They will show you how it's possible to use fasting as a tool for financial transformation. And if you do these exercises seriously, with faith, with commitment, I guarantee you will start to see signs of change in the coming weeks. Small signs at first, but real signs. Signs that confirm you're on the right path. And once you see the first results, the motivation to deepen the practice comes naturally. You'll want to learn the more advanced techniques. You'll want to accelerate the process. You'll want to maximize the results. And that's the moment when multiplying fasting becomes really powerful. When you go from curiosity to commitment, from experiment to lifestyle. Because in the end, multiplying fasting is not just a technique. It's a way of life. It's a way of relating to abundance. It's a path to true financial freedom. The freedom that Kathryn Kuhlman achieved. The freedom that thousands of people have already achieved using the same principles. And the freedom that is available to you too. But only if you decide to act. Only if you decide to apply what you learned today. Only if you decide to transform knowledge into practice. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. It's just information taking up space in your mind. Real transformation happens when you leave your comfort zone and enter the action zone. When you stop consuming content and start applying content. And the time to start is now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel more prepared, now. Because the more you postpone the beginning, the more you strengthen the procrastination pattern that may be undermining your prosperity. And the faster you start, the faster you see the first results. And the faster you develop the confidence to apply these more advanced techniques, the quicker you'll see results. The path to true abundance isn't a destination. It's a journey. A journey that begins with that first step. And that first step is in your hands right now. The choice is yours. You can continue living the same way you always have, hoping something magically changes your financial situation. Or you can decide to become the architect of your own transformation. You can decide to apply the principles that have already transformed the lives of so many others. Kathryn Kuhlman made that choice and completely changed her family's financial destiny. Now it's your turn to choose. Spiritual fasting that manifests abundance isn't just a spiritual technique. It's a gateway to a new financial reality. A reality where abundance is natural, where prosperity flows effortlessly, where you never have to worry about scarcity again. That gateway is open before you. You just need the courage to walk through it.